Tomorrow is already being written in the thoughts you repeat today. If you keep thinking the same way, you'll keep living the same way. So let me ask you, what thoughts are you replaying right now? This isn't another motivational pep talk. This is a reset for your mindset, for the way you think, for the way you see yourself, because here's the truth. Your thoughts create your feelings. Your feelings drive your actions, and your actions shape your future. That means every change you've been waiting for starts in your mind first. Not next week, not someday. Now take a deep breath in, hold it, and let it go slowly. Put your hand on your chest and say quietly, I choose the thoughts that guide me. Say it again, louder. This time, I don't wait for motivation. I build proof. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to train your mind so it works for you instead of against you. Not with magic, not with luck, but with awareness, repetition, and daily practice. If you're ready to stop being a prisoner of old thinking and start becoming the person your future is waiting for, then let's begin. Your mind is not neutral ground. It's the most valuable space you'll ever manage. And what you allow in it shapes the entire course of your life. Every decision you make, every action you take, and every habit you form begins with a single thought. And here's the challenge. Most people never stop to notice what's living in their head. They let anything and everything walk right in fear, doubt, comparison, regret, and those thoughts take root before long. They don't even realize they're being controlled by a script they didn't write. Think about it. Before you do anything, before you make a choice, before you open your mouth, one person health creative, AI-powered meals and activity tracker. Track meals and activities with voice photos. AI analyzes your data. Get personalized recommendations that actually work. Try for free. Sponsored. Before you commit to a path, there's always a thought. And if that thought is weak, the action that follows will be weak. If that thought is clouded by fear, you'll hesitate. If it's poisoned by doubt, you'll give up early. If it's wrapped in blame, you'll waste time pointing fingers instead of taking responsibility. But when the thought is rooted in strength, discipline, clarity, belief, you move differently. You step forward with confidence. You stay the course when it gets hard. You create momentum. So the question is this: who's running the show inside your head? Is it fear? Is it self-doubt? Or is it you? Because if you don't manage your thoughts will manage you. And trust me, they won't always manage you in the direction you want to go. Most of us grew up surrounded by voices that weren't always helpful. Maybe you heard people say, don't aim too high, or people like us don't get chances like that. Maybe you were told to be realistic, which usually meant play small. And without realizing it, those words became your inner voice. You carried them from job to job, from relationship to relationship, from goal to goal. They became the background music of your life. But here's the truth. You don't have to believe everything you think. You don't have to give every voice inside your head the same authority. Your mind is like a house. You're the owner, but if you leave the doors unlocked, anyone can walk in: strangers, thieves, troublemakers, and they'll treat it like it's theirs. Guarding your mind is about locking that door. It's about choosing who and what gets to stay inside. Not every opinion deserves a seat in your head. Not every fear deserves your focus. Not every doubt deserves your energy. So how do you do it? How do you become the gatekeeper of your thoughts? It starts with awareness. You have to notice what you're thinking. Most people are on autopilot. They wake up, grab their phone, scroll through the noise, and let the outside world set the tone for the day. By the time they've had their coffee, their head is already filled with other people's opinions, other people's problems, other people's priorities, and then they wonder why they feel scattered, anxious, or stuck. You have to interrupt that pattern, start paying attention to the inner voice that runs in the background. Catch the automatic thoughts that show up in the small moments. When something goes wrong, what's the first thing you tell yourself? Do you say, I always mess up? Or do you ask, what can I learn here? When you face something new, do you hear, I'm not ready? Or do you remind yourself, I'll figure it out no matter what? Those little sentences are shaping your life more than any big motivational speech ever could. And here's the key. Once you catch those thoughts, you don't just let them sit there. You challenge them. You question them. You replace them. If a thought doesn't serve you, it doesn't belong in your head. Period. Think of it like cleaning your house. You don't wait until the place is a disaster. You tidy it up every day. Same with your mind. Every day you need to clear out the clutter, negative beliefs, old regrets, useless comparisons, and replace them with thoughts that support the life you want to build. It's not about ignoring problems. It's about training your mind to face them with strength instead of weakness. Weak thinking says, I can't handle this. Strong thinking says, I'll find a way. Weak thinking says, this always happens to me. Strong thinking says, every time I try, I get better. Weak thinking says, I'm not enough. Strong thinking says, I'm still growing and I'm not finished yet. This isn't just positive thinking. This is mental discipline. And discipline isn't a one-time choice. It's a daily practice. Every day something will try to plant itself in your head. It might be a careless comment, a harsh memory, or even your own self-criticism. And if you're not paying attention, those thoughts take root. But when you're the gatekeeper, you notice it, you stop it, and you replace it. Here's a simple way to start today. Notice one negative thought that keeps showing up. Write it down. Then ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Does it move me closer to who I want to be, or does it pull me back? If it doesn't serve you, cross it out and write a new one. Not something fake, something true and useful. For example, instead of I always fail, right? Every time I try, I gain experience instead of I'm not ready, right? I'll learn as I go. It's not magic. It's repetition. The more you say it, the more your mind starts to accept it. That's how belief is built. When you take responsibility for your thoughts, you take back the driver's seat of your life. You stop living by default and start living by design. You stop waiting for luck and start creating progress. You stop being a victim of your past and start building a future that reflects your values and your vision. And here's the good news. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get it started. Awareness first. Discipline. Second, repetition. Third, guard your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. So ask yourself right now, what's one thought you've been letting live rent-free in your head? And what's one stronger thought you're going to replace it with today? Remember, your mind is everything. What you think you become. Guard it, guide it, and it will carry you exactly where you are meant to go. If you want a new life, you need a new mind. It doesn't matter how hard you work, how many goals you set, or how many times you promise yourself you'll change. If your thinking stays the same, nothing else will stick. That's the hard truth most people avoid. They try to rearrange the outside without ever upgrading the inside. But life doesn't change from the outside in. It changes from the inside out. Think about it. You can switch jobs, move to a new city, or buy new clothes. You can get into a new relationship or start a new routine, but if you're still carrying the same old thoughts, I'm not good enough. I always mess this up. It's too late for me. Your results will look just like the past. Why? Because your thoughts set the ceiling for your actions. It's not ability that keeps most people stuck. It's old patterns of thinking. The mind gets comfortable with certain scripts and it plays them on repeat. I can't do this. This always happens to me. I'll never figure it out. These thoughts feel familiar, and because they feel familiar, the brain mistakes them for truth. So you end up living life on autopilot, repeating the same story every day without ever questioning it. But here's the shift. You don't have to believe everything you think. You can catch those scripts, you can challenge them, and you can replace them. That's how you start changing your life one thought at a time. Step 1, become the observer. The first step to changing your thinking is awareness. You can't fix what you won't face. Start paying attention to the words you say to yourself. Notice your thoughts when you're stressed, when you fail, or when something goes wrong. Those are the moments that reveal your real mindset. Maybe you tell yourself, I'm not cut out for this. Maybe you think, of course it went wrong. This always happens to me. Or maybe you replay old mistakes like a highlight reel of failure. Whatever the pattern, you have to see it before you can change it. So throughout your day, check in with yourself. When you make a mistake, what's the first thought? When someone criticizes you, what do you hear in your head? When you face something new, what do you say to yourself? Awareness is power. It gives you the chance to interrupt the old script before it runs the show. Step 2, challenge the script. Just because a thought shows up doesn't mean it deserves your attention. That's where most people get it wrong. They assume that every thought is true just because it appeared in their mind. But not every thought is reality. Some are fear, some are old beliefs, some are lies you've repeated so long they sound familiar. So when a thought comes up or asks, is this useful? Does this thought move me forward or hold me back? Is this the mindset that builds the life I want or the one that keeps me stuck? If the answer is no, then you've got a choice. You can feed the thought or you can replace it, but don't let it sit there unchecked. Passive thinking leads to a passive life. Step 3, rewire through repetition. Here's where most people quit. They catch a thought once, challenge it once, and think they're done. But changing your thinking isn't about one breakthrough moment. It's about repetition. Your brain loves familiarity. It likes what's known. Even if what's known keeps you small, that's why people fall back into old habits. The old way of thinking feels safe. To break the cycle, you need new patterns, and the only way to build new patterns is through practice. Write down the thoughts that no longer serve you. Be brutally honest. Then write down what you want to think instead. For example, instead of I can't succeed without help, write I will succeed because I'm willing to figure it out. Instead of I failed too many times, write every failure made me smarter and stronger. Instead of I'm not ready, write I'm learning as I go and progress makes me ready. And don't just write them once, read them daily. Say them out loud, repeat them until they start to sound normal. Because that's how belief is built. Not through hype, not through luck, but through consistent repetition. Step 4, protect your environment. Your thinking doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's shaped by the people you talk to, the content you consume, the environments you live in. If you surround yourself with complainers, guess what? You'll start thinking like them. If you fill your time with negativity, news, gossip, toxic opinions, you'll carry those thoughts into your own mind. But if you spend time with people who take responsibility, who speak with clarity, who live with strength, you'll rise to that level. If you read books that challenge you, listen to mentors who inspire you, and fill your head with content that strengthens your mind, your thinking will shift. Guard your environment like your life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. Your mind is constantly being shaped by what you allow in. So be intentional. Choose wisely. Step 5, choose growth over comfort. Here's the bottom line. You can't protect comfort and protect growth at the same time. One will always kill the other. Real change feels uncomfortable. It asks you to think in ways you haven't before. It asks you to take ownership of your wins and your losses. It asks you to challenge yourself daily. So the next time an old thought shows up, I can't, I'm not ready. This is too hard. Stop and ask, is this thought protecting my comfort or my growth? And then choose growth. Every time you do, you strengthen your mind. Daily practice to make this real. Here's a simple exercise tonight. Write down 3 thoughts you had today that didn't serve you. Then rewrite each one into a thought that empowers you. Read that list tomorrow morning before you start your day. Do this for a week. You'll be shocked at how quickly your inner voice begins to shift. Because changing your thinking isn't about waiting for motivation. It's about building a new mindset. One thought at a time. And when you change your thinking, you change everything. Your confidence, your habits, your results, your life. Remember, your mind builds your life. Think better and you'll live better. Think strong and you'll become strong. This is the power you hold right now. In this very moment, most people are not weak. They only think they are. The truth is, strength already lives inside you. The problem is, your mind has been trained by doubt, by fear, by past failures to look for weakness instead of proof of your strength. And if your thoughts don't believe in you, your actions will hesitate, your confidence will shrink, and your potential will stay locked away. So the question isn't, do you have strength? You do. The real question is, have you trained your mind to see it? Belief is learned, not given. No one is born with unshakable confidence. No one comes into this world with a mind that automatically says, I've got this. That voice is built over time. It's trained brick by brick, choice by choice. Every time you face a challenge, every time you keep going when it's tough, every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, you lay another brick in the foundation of belief. On the flip side, when you constantly repeat negative self-talk, when you replay failures instead of lessons, when you quit at the first sign of difficulty, you're training your mind to doubt, you're feeding weakness instead of strength. Here's the shift. Belief doesn't come after success. Belief comes before it. And the only way to build that belief is through repetition, through choosing thoughts that affirm your strength until your mind accepts them as fact. Your mind believes what you tell it. Your brain is always listening to you. If you say, I'm not ready, it believes you. If you say, I can't handle this, it agrees. If you say, I'm weak, it accepts it. But flip the script and something amazing happens. Say, I don't know all the answers, but I'll figure it out. Say, I've handled hard things before. I can handle this too. Say, I am stronger than I think. When you talk like that consistently, your brain starts to look for evidence to support it. That's how belief grows. Not by wishing, but by giving your mind new instructions. Remember, your inner voice is not a background noise. It's the most powerful influence on your behavior. Small promises build big confidence. One of the fastest ways to train belief is through small wins. Every time you make a promise to yourself and keep it, you strengthen your identity as someone who follows through. That doesn't mean you need to accomplish huge things overnight. Start small. If you say you'll wake up early tomorrow, don't it. If you say you'll go for a run, go. If you say you'll finish the project, finish it. Each small promise kept is like a deposit into your mental bank account. Over time, those deposits compound into unshakable confidence. You stop just hoping you can do things. You start knowing you can. Don't wait to feel ready. One of the biggest lies people believe is, I'll start when I feel confident. That day never comes. Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you build by doing. You step forward nervous. You try uncertain. You speak while your voice shakes. And every time you do, your mind collects proof that you're capable. Proof that you're stronger than your fears. Proof that you can handle more than you imagined. Action comes first. Belief follows. Replace the old narrative. Many people carry a mental script that was handed to them years ago. A parent who said, you're not smart enough, a teacher who ignored them, a group of people who laughed at them, and that script has been replaying ever since. But just because it feels familiar doesn't mean it's true. You are not your past. You are not the worst thing you've done. You are not the opinion of people who underestimated you. You are who you choose to become today. And that choice starts in your thinking. So when old thoughts try to creep back in, stop and say, that's not my story anymore. Write a new one. Repeat it daily until it feels like home. Daily training for mental strength. Here's a simple practice to start today. Each morning, write down one thing you're proud of, something you handled better than before, something you learned or something you survived. Then write one statement about who you are becoming. I keep my promises. I handle challenges with clarity. I don't fold under pressure. Say it out loud. Look at it often. Let it become the soundtrack in your head. And when you face doubt, don't try to argue with it. Just remind yourself of your proof. You've been through tough moments before. You've overcome more than you give yourself credit for. You've got strength already. You just need to see it. Stop comparing strength. Strength is not a competition. It's personal. Stop comparing your progress to someone else's highlight reel. You don't know their journey, their pain, or their years of practice. The only strength that matters is yours. The kind you build one choice, one thought, one action at a time. Belief becomes your default. At first training, your mind feels awkward. You'll catch yourself doubting, slipping back into old patterns. That's normal. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is consistency. Every time you replace doubt with belief, every time you take action in spite of fear, every time you choose strength over comfort, you're rewiring your brain. And one day you'll realize something powerful. Belief has become your default. You won't need to hype yourself up. You won't need constant motivation. You'll simply know deep down that you can handle whatever comes your way. That's when you stop waiting for life to get easier because you've already gotten stronger. Remember this. Strength doesn't start in your muscles. It starts in your mind. Train it daily. Speak truth to yourself. Keep your promises. Take action and watch how quickly your life transforms. You cannot live a new life with an old mind. If you want transformation, it begins long before the results show up. It begins in your thoughts right now. In this moment, most people make the mistake of waiting. They say, when I finally achieve success, then I'll think like a successful person, or when I feel confident, then I'll act confident, but that's backwards. Waiting for the results before you change your thinking is like waiting for a mirror to smile before you smile at it. Life doesn't work that way. Growth begins the moment you decide to think differently. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Imagine your future self. Close your eyes for a second and picture the version of yourself you deeply respect, the person you want to become. Maybe they're disciplined, confident, calm, under pressure. Maybe they're financially free, physically healthy, emotionally steady. Whoever that version is, ask yourself, how would they think? Would they say, I'm not ready? Would they say, I can't handle this? Or would they say, I'll figure this out? The way your future self thinks is the way you need to start thinking today, because your mind creates the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. Stop waiting to feel ready. The person you want to be isn't going to suddenly appear one day when the conditions are perfect. You become them by aligning your thinking with theirs. Even before the evidence shows up, if you want to be disciplined, start thinking like a disciplined person now. If you want to be confident, start thinking like someone who trusts themselves. Now, if you want to be successful, start thinking like someone who takes responsibility now. Don't wait for the applause. Don't wait for validation. Don't wait until you have proof. Start living with that mindset today, and let the results catch up later. Align your thoughts with action. Here's where honesty comes in. You have to compare your current thinking with the thinking of the person you want to become. When problems show up, do you panic or do you ask, what's the next right step? When you're tired, do you give up or do you think, I'll show up anyway because this matters to me? The difference between where you are and where you want to be is not just action, it's alignment. You can't think like a quitter and expect to live like a finisher. You can't think like a victim and expect to lead your life. You can't think sloppy and expect sharp results. Every thought you allow is either pushing you closer to your future self or pulling you back into your old patterns. Build mental habits of the future. You thinking like the person you want to become isn't about pretending. It's about practicing. You build mental habits the same way you build physical ones, through repetition. So start small. Think like someone who keeps their word. If you say you'll do something, follow through. Think like someone who values their time. Stop wasting hours on things that don't matter. Think like someone who solves problems instead of replaying them. Shift from why me to what now. Each time you think and act in alignment with your future self, you close the gap between where you are and where you're going. Visualize with intention. Visualization is not daydreaming. It's training. Every morning, take 1 minute to picture your future self living out the thoughts and habits you want. See yourself handling challenges calmly. See yourself showing up with discipline. See yourself staying focused when distractions come. Your brain doesn't know the difference between imagined practice and real practice. When you visualize consistently, you're rehearsing for the life you want, and soon your actions start to follow. Respond instead of react. Most people live in reaction. Something happens. They panic. Someone criticizes them. They spiral. A plan falls apart. They give up. That's old thinking. Your future self doesn't live like that. They respond with intention. They pause, breathe, and choose their next step. Instead of being hijacked by emotion, that gap between reaction and response is where transformation happens. And it starts by deciding, I will think like the person I want to be, even when it's uncomfortable. Raise your standards. When you shift your thinking, your standards shift too. You stop tolerating distractions. You stop explaining your worth. You stop entertaining thoughts that keep you small. Instead, you start saying no more often. You start protecting your energy. You start acting in ways that make you proud, not because the world notices, but because you do. That's what alignment feels like. Living with thoughts and choices that match your highest potential. Daily check-in. Here's a practice at the end of each day. Ask yourself, did I think like the person I want to become today? If the answer is no, don't beat yourself up. Just notice where you fell short and commit to adjusting tomorrow, because transformation isn't one massive leap. It's a series of daily corrections. One thought, one choice, one standard at a time. Claim it now. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for the right moment. You don't have to wait for evidence. Claim the mindset now. Walk like it, talk like it, think like it. Because the more you practice thinking like the person you want to be, the sooner you'll become them. Remember this, you don't become confident without first thinking confident thoughts. You don't build success without first thinking like someone who's willing to do the work. You don't arrive at a new life without first training your mind to think in new ways. The choice is in front of you right now. Keep replaying the old thoughts or step into the new ones and close the gap between who you are and who you're meant to be. The direction of your life always follows the direction of your thoughts. If your mind is scattered, your life will feel unstable. If your thoughts are negative, your results will reflect that negativity. But if you start choosing better thoughts on purpose, your entire life begins to shift. Here's the key. Better thoughts don't magically appear. They don't just show up one morning because you wished for them. Better thoughts are chosen. They are intentional. They are built with awareness and discipline. And every time you choose them, you're building the foundation of a stronger, better life. Why most people stay stuck? Most people don't fail because they lack talent, resources, or opportunity. They fail because they keep entertaining weak and useless thoughts. Thoughts like, I'll never get it right, or what's the point in trying, or I'm not good enough. Those thoughts take up mental space, and when they live in your head long enough, they start to feel like truth. But here's the reality. Thoughts are not facts. They're habits. And if you keep rehearsing the same old ones, they become the lens you see your entire life through. Change the lens and suddenly the picture looks different. Catch the first thought. Your day is often shaped by the very first thought you have in the morning. If your first thought is another hard day, don't be surprised if everything feels heavy. If your first thought is, I'm already behind, you'll move through the day rushed and anxious. But what if your first thought was, today I'm going to find one way to move forward, or I've handled worse than this. I can handle today too. That small shift changes the entire tone of your day. The mind listens to whatever instructions you give it. So make sure the first instruction builds you, not breaks you. Replace. Don't just resist. When negative thoughts show up, you can't just shout stop and expect them to disappear. The brain doesn't work that way. You can't erase a thought. You have to replace it. Instead of, I always mess things up, try, I'm learning to handle this better each time. Instead of, this never works for me, try, every attempt makes me stronger. Instead of, I can't do this, try, I'll figure it out step by step. These aren't just positive slogans, they're useful replacements. They're statements that move you forward, that keep you steady, that help you see possibility where before you only saw limitation. Watch what you feed your mind. Your thoughts don't come out of nowhere. They're influenced by your environment, the people you spend time with, the conversations you have, the content you consume. These things shape your thinking more than you realize. If you spend hours around complainers, you'll start to think in complaints. If you fill your mind with gossip, negativity, or endless distractions, don't be surprised when your own thoughts feel cloudy and weak. But if you choose better inputs, books, podcasts, mentors, uplifting conversations, you'll notice your thinking rise to a higher level. Your mind is like soil. Whatever you plant in it will grow. So be intentional with the seeds. Respond to challenges with clarity. Better thoughts don't mean pretending life is easy. They mean responding to life with clarity instead of panic. When a setback hits, you can think this is the end, or you can think this is a lesson. When fear whispers, what if I fail? You can replace it with, what if I learn something that changes everything? The thoughts you choose in pressure moments are what define you. Anyone can think strong when life is smooth. The real test is how you think when things fall apart. Progress over perfection. Choosing better thoughts is not about being positive all day, every day. That's not realistic. You're human. You'll slip. You'll spiral. You'll catch yourself thinking small again. That's okay. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. If you can interrupt one negative spiral today, that's progress. If you can replace just one old thought with a stronger one, that's progress. And progress compounds over time. Those small shifts turn into a new mental default. Practical daily exercise. Here's something simple you can do tonight. Grab a notebook and write down 3 thoughts you had today that didn't serve you. Then for each one, write a stronger replacement thought. For example, I wasted so much time today I learned what distracts me, and tomorrow I'll focus better. I'm not as good as them two. I'm improving every day and my journey is my own. This is too hard to hard means I'm growing stronger. When you write them down and see the shift on paper, it becomes easier to repeat them tomorrow. And each repetition makes the replacement feel more natural. A better life starts in the mind. The truth is simple. You don't get a better life by accident. You get a better life by choosing better thoughts over and over again, until they become your normal way of thinking. When you choose better thoughts, your conversations improve, your energy improves, your choices improve. And when your choices improve, your life improves. It's not luck, it's not magic, it's consistency. Remember this. Weak thinking keeps you stuck. Strong thinking pulls you forward. Better thoughts build a better life. And every day, every moment, you have the power to choose which ones you'll listen to. Weak thoughts don't show up by accident. They grow because we allow them space. They feed on hesitation, on fear, on indecision. And if you don't shut them down, they multiply. They whisper things like, "You're not ready. What if you fail? This isn't the right time." Sound familiar? Those are weak thoughts. And the longer you sit with them, the heavier they get. They drain your energy, blur your focus, and convince you to play small. But here's the truth. Weak thoughts cannot survive where action is present. Weak thoughts thrive in stillness. Think about it. The moments when your doubt feels the loudest are usually the moments when you're sitting still, overthinking, replaying the what-ifs in your head. Weak thoughts thrive in silence. They love it when you wait, when you delay, when you hesitate. But the moment you move, when you take a step, send the message, make the call, lift the weight, those thoughts begin to lose their grip. Action is the enemy of weakness. Don't argue with fear, outwork it. Here's where most people get stuck. They try to argue with their weak thought. They sit there saying, "No, I am ready, I can do this." But the more you argue, the more energy you give fear. You don't defeat weakness by debating with it. You defeat it by outworking it. Action changes the game. Every step you take is evidence. And evidence builds belief. When you move, you show your mind. "See, I can handle this." That's more powerful than any argument you could ever make. Small steps break big chains. You don't need to leap. You don't need to have everything figured out. All you need is one step, write one page. Make one sales call. Show up to the gym for 10 minutes. That small action sends a massive signal to your brain. I'm not controlled by weak thoughts anymore. It doesn't matter how small the action is. What matters is that it's movement, because movement builds momentum and momentum drowns out doubt. Permission is a trap. Weak thoughts often disguise themselves as logic. They say things like, "Wait until you feel more confident," or "Hold off until the timing is better." But that's a trap. If you wait to feel ready, you'll wait forever. Confidence doesn't come before action, it comes after. Timing doesn't create clarity, movement does. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start now with what you have, where you are. That single choice to act is how you break the cycle of hesitation. This person moves forward even when they're uncomfortable. And the more proof you give it, the stronger that belief becomes. This is how you rewire your identity, not by thinking about change, but by living it. Every action you take teaches your mind a new pattern: action over fear, courage over hesitation. Always hear them whisper. The difference is whether or not you give them power. Weak thoughts only win when you listen, when you give them your attention, when you let them dictate your choices. But you don't have to obey every thought that shows up. Just because a thought appears doesn't mean it deserves a seat at the table. You're the one in charge. And the way you prove that is by acting anyway. Action produces belief. You can't think your way into confidence. You have to act your way into it. Every time you move forward in the face of fear, you create belief. And belief is what transforms your life from the inside out. Think about the strongest people you admire. They're not fearless. They just act faster than their doubts can catch them. They've trained themselves to move before hesitation multiplies. That's the difference. Practical way to reject weak thoughts. The next time you hear a weak thought, something like, "You can't do this," don't argue with it. Don't overthink it. Instead, immediately take one action that moves you forward. If the thought says, "Skip the gym," put on your shoes and walk out the door. If the thought says, "Don't apply," you'll never get it. Submit the application anyway. If the thought says, "Don't speak up," you'll embarrass yourself. Raise your hand and talk. Each action is like a vote for the stronger version of yourself. And the more votes you cast, the louder that version becomes. The shift at first rejecting weak thoughts feels like a battle, but with practice, it becomes automatic. You stop overthinking. You stop needing to feel ready. You stop waiting for courage to arrive. Instead, you act, and your actions create the courage you thought you lacked. That's the shift. That's how ordinary people build extraordinary strength. Remember this. Weak thoughts want you to wait. Action wants you to grow. Weak thoughts want you to blend in. Action wants you to stand out. Weak thoughts whisper, someday. Action says, today. The choice is always yours. But only one choice leads you forward. People guard their cars with locks. They guard their homes with alarms. They guard their phones with passwords. But the most valuable thing they own, their mind, they leave wide open for anything and anyone to walk in. And here's the truth. What you allow into your mind determines who you become. Every thought, every belief, every standard you live by begins with what you've let in. If you don't guard it, your environment will decide for you. Your mind is prime real estate. Think of your mind like prime real estate. It's the most valuable space you'll ever own. And every day there are tenants knocking on the door. Opinions, fears, doubts, distractions. Some of them belong inside. Most of them don't. The problem is most people hand out free rent. They let every comment, every headline, every criticism take up space. And over time, those voices pile up until they drown out clarity. But here's the rule. Your mind is not a public park. It's not open for everyone. It's your private property, and you get to decide who gets in and who gets rejected. The cost of unfiltered input. If you don't guard your thoughts, your focus will scatter. Your confidence will shrink. Your decisions will weaken. Not because you're incapable, but because your mental environment is cluttered. Think about it. You wouldn't leave spoiled food in your kitchen and expect to stay healthy. So why leave toxic ideas in your mind and expect to think strong? What you let in today becomes the way you think tomorrow. Put up boundaries. Guarding your mind means setting filters. Ask yourself tough questions. Is what I'm watching making me stronger or weaker? Is this conversation helping me think clearer or clouding my perspective? Does this environment push me forward or pull me down? If the answer is no, you don't need it. This isn't about being rude. Sometimes the most dangerous intruder isn't outside. It's your own inner voice. The thoughts you allow to repeat when you're tired, frustrated, or discouraged can be more damaging than anyone else's opinion. Guarding your mind means catching yourself in those moments and asking, does this thought help me or hurt me? If it hurts, replace it. Don't give free rent to self-doubt. Feed your mind daily. Guarding your mind isn't just about keeping negativity out. It's about intentionally feeding it with what makes you stronger. Read things that challenge you to grow. Listen to voices that come from experience, not just emotion. Review your goals often so your vision stays clear. Your mind is like a garden. If you don't plant the seeds you want, weeds will grow by default. The power of consistency. You can't just guard your mind once and expect it to stay clear forever. Just like you don't clean your house once and call it done. You have to maintain it daily. Protecting your mind is an ongoing discipline every day. Distractions will try to slip in every day. Someone's opinion will try to influence you. Every day, fear will knock on the door. That's why you need to stand guard daily. Stay centered when pressure hits. When your mind is guarded, you don't break when life gets loud. You may feel the pressure, but it doesn't control you. You may hear the noise, but it doesn't become your truth. You stay centered, steady, and clear. That's the power of a guarded mind. It gives you peace in chaos and strength in uncertainty. Your future depends on it. At the end of the day, everything you want, success, growth, peace, the purpose, it all starts with your mind. If your mind is weak, everything else will crumble. But if your mind is strong and guarded, you can withstand storms, setbacks, and criticism without losing direction. So guard your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. Remember this, your mind is your greatest asset. Protect it. Filter it. Feed it. Every thought you allow becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. Make sure you're building something worth living in. Confidence doesn't begin with applause. Your inner language is either shaping you into someone stronger or keeping you stuck in hesitation. The silent voice that shapes everything. Think about it. Most people would never let a stranger speak to them the way they speak to themselves. Yet inside their own head, they replay lines like, "I'm not ready. I always fail. I'll never be enough." That voice may feel quiet, but it has weight. And over time, it starts to control how you walk into a room, how you approach challenges, and whether you give up before you even start. Your self-talk becomes your self-image, and your self-image becomes your ceiling. Choose words that strengthen. Confidence is not built by ignoring flaws or pretending you're perfect. It's built by deliberately choosing words that strengthen you instead of weaken you. When you finish a task, I say, "I followed through." When you overcome resistance, say, "I didn't quit." When you fall short, but try again, say, "I am learning," and that counts. Those words are not empty affirmations, they're recognition of effort. And effort is the raw material of confidence. Repetition creates belief. Your brain listens to repetition. The more you hear something, the more it begins to feel true. That's how beliefs are formed. So if you constantly say, "I'm behind, I'm not good enough, I'll never catch up," your mind starts accepting that as your identity. But if you repeat, "I'm improving every day, I'm committed to growth, I can handle hard things," your brain begins to normalize that instead. It's not magic, it's programming. And you are the programmer. Build a language of growth. Here's a shift to practice. Notice the difference. One set of words pulls you down. The other lifts you up and keeps you moving. Your words don't erase reality. They reframe it. And that framing shapes whether you freeze or move forward. Speak like someone you respect. Ask yourself, would you talk to someone you love the way you talk to yourself? If the answer is no, it's time to change your tone. You don't need to be harsh to be honest. You can acknowledge your mistakes without destroying your self-worth. You can admit your flaws while still reinforcing your potential. Speak to yourself like a leader, firm, supportive, and focused on growth. Daily practice that builds confidence. Each morning, take 30 seconds to say one sentence out loud that sets the tone for your day. Something like, "I keep my promises to myself. I stay calm under pressure. I'm proud of the progress I'm making." Say it clearly. Say it with conviction. Even if you don't fully believe it yet, keep repeating it. Your words are planting seeds, and with enough repetition, they will take root. Confidence lives in progress, not perfection. Don't confuse confidence with flawless performance. True confidence isn't about never failing. It's about knowing that even when you fail, you can stand back up and keep moving. That mindset comes from the language you use in tough moments. Instead of saying it, say, "I'll do it better next time." Instead of "I can't handle this," say, "I'm learning how to handle this." Your words don't have to be dramatic. They just have to be steady. The power of your voice every time you speak to yourself with clarity, strength, and respect. You're not just talking, you're building. You're shaping the way you carry yourself, the way you respond to stress, the way you chase your goals. Your voice has the power to reset your focus, to calm your nerves, to give you courage when pressure builds. But only if you train it, only if you choose the right words. Remember, this confidence isn't gifted, it's built one word at a time. And the words that matter most are not the ones others say to you, but the ones you say to yourself. Progress isn't only shaped by what you do, it's shaped by what you continue to think. You can have the best routine, the strongest work ethic, and the clearest goals. But if your mind is cluttered with the wrong thoughts, it's like trying to run with a heavy backpack strapped to your shoulders. Lines like, "I'm not ready, I always fail. What will people think?" They sound familiar, but familiar doesn't mean useful. If those thoughts stop you from moving forward, they're not helping you. They're holding you hostage. Don't live in yesterday's stories. Too many people drag their past into every new opportunity. They replay mistakes, revisit regrets, and carry other people's voices like baggage. A teacher who doubted them, a friend who laughed at their dreams, a parent who told them not to aim too high. But you are not obligated to keep thinking what someone else handed you. Their story is not your story, and the longer you repeat it, the heavier it gets. Identify the mental weight. The first step to cleaning your thoughts is noticing which ones cost you more than they give you. Ask yourself, does this thought push me forward or pull me back? Does this belief help me grow or keep me small? Is this fear real or is it just a story I've been repeating? Be honest. Some of your most damaging thoughts don't sound extreme. They sound reasonable. That's why they sneak past you. But anything that convinces you to delay, to doubt, to shrink, that thought doesn't deserve space in your mind. Subtract to create space. Growth isn't only about adding more. It's also about subtraction. Just like cleaning a room, you don't keep piling new things on top of the mess. You clear out what doesn't belong. That means letting go of guilt you've carried too long, releasing regrets that don't serve you, dropping comparisons that rob you of gratitude. Every subtraction creates space for better thinking to take root. Rewrite the script. Here's a simple practice. Write down 3 thoughts that keep looping in your head. Don't filter, just write them. Then for each one, ask, does this thought help me move forward? If the answer is no, rewrite it. I'm not capable. I'm learning, and every step makes me stronger. It's too late for me to. I'm just getting started, and I still have time. I'll probably fail too. Failure is part of growth, and it won't stop me. Your brain listens to whatever story you tell it most often. If you're not filtering, you're absorbing. And if you're absorbing everything, your mind becomes overwhelmed. Be selective. If the input doesn't align with your values or your goals, it doesn't deserve your attention. Stop entertaining fear. Many people don't take risks because they've convinced themselves that failure will define them. But failure doesn't define you. Fear does. The thought that says, if I fail, it's over, is the real enemy. Replace it with, if I fail, I'll learn something that gets me closer. That one shift turns fear into fuel. Growth demands a clean mind. You can't build a new life with a mind cluttered by old scripts. You can't step into your future if you're dragging every outdated belief from your past. Growth requires space. Challenge the lies. Replace the scripts that keep you small with ones that keep you moving. Remember this, you don't need more thoughts, you need better ones. You don't need more noise, you need clarity. Clean your mental space and your life will follow. Every single day, you're faced with a choice to think in a way that weakens you or to think in a way that strengthens you. And those choices, those small invisible choices, are building your life, one thought at a time. Most people don't realize it. They wake up, replay yesterday's doubts, complain about the same problems, and wonder why nothing changes. But the truth is simple. If you don't choose your thoughts on purpose, you'll repeat the same cycles with a different calendar. Strong thinking is a daily decision. Strong thinking isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about deciding how you'll respond before the day even begins. When you wake up, will you say, I'm already tired, I can't handle this? Or will you say, I'll meet this day with strength, no matter what it brings? That one decision shapes your focus, your energy, your confidence. Weak thoughts drain you before you even leave the house. Strong thoughts create momentum before you've even had your coffee. You train it like a muscle. Thinking strong doesn't happen by accident. It's not a gift some people are born with. It's a muscle you train every time you catch yourself about to spiral into overthinking. But instead, choose clarity. That's training. Every time you pause before reacting in anger and instead respond with calm, that's training. Every time you keep moving when it would be easier to quit, that's training. The more reps you put in, the stronger your mind becomes. Strong thinking creates calm, and you keep your focus sharp. Progress without perfection. Strong thinking doesn't require perfection. You don't need to be positive every second. You just need to be intentional more often. Catch yourself once when you normally would have spiraled. Choose one better thought when you normally would have given in. That's progress. And progress repeated daily becomes transformation. The cost of weak thinking. Here's the reality. Weak thinking feels easier in the moment, but it always costs more later. When you let doubt take over, you delay opportunities. When you let fear lead, you shrink your potential. When you let excuses run the show, you trade long-term growth for short-term comfort. And over time, that cost adds up not just in missed opportunities, but in the person you become. Strong thinking builds identity. When you think strong consistently, something powerful happens. You start to see yourself differently. You begin to trust yourself more. You start carrying yourself with quiet confidence. You stop waiting for life to get easier because you know you've gotten stronger. That shift in identity is the true reward. Practical ways to think strong daily. Here are a few simple ways to strengthen your mind every single day. Morning reset before you check your phone. Choose one strong thought to anchor your day. Midday check-in. Ask yourself, are my thoughts helping me or hurting me right now? Evening reflection. Write down one moment you stayed strong instead of folding. Celebrate it. These tiny practices compound. One strong thought leads to one strong choice. One strong choice leads to one strong day. And strong days stack together. Build a strong life. Your mind is the foundation. You can't control everything around you. People will test you. Plans will fall apart. Life will throw challenges your way, but you can always control the thoughts you choose. And that choice changes everything. Strong thinking creates steady emotions. Steady emotions create consistent actions. Consistent action create lasting results. It all starts in your head. Remember this. You don't have to wait for strength. You can think it into existence. You can decide right now that you are done with weak, scattered, self-defeating thoughts. You can choose to think strong every day until it becomes who you are. Because once your mind is strong, your life begins to shift and there's nothing anyone can do to stop it. You've just taken a journey through the most powerful truth you'll ever hear. Your life is shaped by your thoughts, not by luck, not by what people say, not even by the circumstances you're in right now, but by what you decide to believe. Repeat and act on every single day. If you keep thinking the same, your life will stay the same. But the moment you choose stronger thoughts, everything begins to shift your confidence, your decisions, your habits, your entire direction, and here's the best part. You don't have to wait for a miracle. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect timing. You can start today, right now, with one thought that builds you instead of breaks you. So let me ask you, are you ready to train your mind to be stronger than your emotions?